I hope you're doing well today. Hey, I want to chat with you a little bit about one of the trends that's going on right now in business, and that is that there's a lot of layoffs happening. And it can be really scary if you're going through that. And a lot of big tech companies right now, in particular, are starting to make really strategic cuts. And I say strategic because there is some thought that goes into this. It's like, are we going to eliminate a department? Are we going to, cut based upon tenure? There's lots of different things that happen in this. But one of the things we're seeing a little bit more of a trend of this time, and this is at least from me looking at the macro data when I'm on something like LinkedIn, is that it's not the entry level people that are being eliminated. It seems to be a little bit higher level people that are being eliminated, which tells me that it's probably more about costs and less about performance. If it was just about performance, or if it was just about trying to retain internal knowledge, I would never want to cut my most senior people. But when you look at your LinkedIn feed and you look at the people that are being affected, what you're finding is that they do tend to have a little bit more tenure. But that also means that they've got a lot more opportunities. Now, they might be in their industry because of the way that things have worked over the last few years. Their salary might be a little bit inflated compared to what the market value is right now. So I think some people are starting to see that, and they're starting to say, hey, Lake, if I was making 150 at my last job, I'm looking at jobs and they're like 120. And that might be a problem. They might have to say to themselves, I got to get real here about what's going to happen in the marketplace as things sort of adjust, especially when inflation is higher and then wages are falling in that category. That can be a hard pill to swallow. So I am hearing more and more and more people saying they'd like to consider consulting, but that's being an entrepreneur. That is a very tricky endeavor. I have done it for a little over 15 years, so I think I have a little bit of experience in it. I would say I've done it really, really poorly for about 14. And I think I've finally figured it out in the last year. So let me see if I can give you some advice and some of my opinions and tell you some stories about the challenges that I experienced with starting in consulting and how I have over time, I believe, gotten myself into a really good position where consulting really works for me and for my life. So first and foremost, I think the biggest mistakes that I made when I started out is I tried to be a jack of all trades. I was relatively good at 5 or 6 different things. I was pretty good at process. I was okay at sales. I had some marketing knowledge. I had a little bit of finance knowledge. I had raised money for companies before successfully. I had pitched on stage to many investors before. So I had all of these different diverse set of skills. And what I was trying to do was trying to find businesses where essentially they were almost like bringing me on as an employee. Even though I was a consultant, I could do enough things that the CEO would sort of assign me projects as needed. And unfortunately, I found myself in a lot of roles where I wasn't doing the strategy type work, the higher level impact work that I wanted to do. Unfortunately, was getting stuck in a lot of tactical things. And there was very, very little impact in that. It was like I was being an extension of the entrepreneur or the CEO instead of actually being somebody who was helping advise them and lift them up. And I think because of that, I didn't gain the respect that I needed inside those organizations. And I don't think I had the clout to help the CEOs make decisions. So I spent a lot of years struggling with that. And I think I got better at it over time. I tried to refine myself. I tried to only stick with the things that I felt like I was an expert at. So that's really the first lesson I would tell you. Really look at your skill set. And there's skills assessments online. You can look at your background, figure out the things that really give you energy. And what I mean by that is I want you to imagine yourself for a moment as a superhero in business. And I want you to think, what is that one thing you have? Is it Xray vision? I think that's what I have. I have Xray vision. I have this uncanny knack to look at processes and systems and very, very quickly be able to see inefficiencies in them. And sometimes it's within minutes, and I could talk lots of stories about times I've gone in to meet with the CEO and just walked through his office and I'm like, here's 10% improvement in your efficiency of your whole place if you just make this one change. And they're like, how in the world did you see that? I've been sitting in this desk for 20 years. So I have this incredible Xray vision where I can see these kind of things, I can identify them, and I can figure out ways to fix them. So I've got that is my skill. What I'm not really good at, my kryptonite, is really detailed tactical work. It's hard. If it's data, yes. I love quantitative things. I don't particularly like qualitative things. So I have learned over time to get very, very focused. And when somebody calls me now and says, hey, we'd like you to do this kind of work for us, if it is not exactly that, I always, always, always say no. And I always say no because I know what will happen. I'll do it adequately. It will be okay. But in the end, I won't get the result that the client wants. And what I want is big, impactful, quantitative results. Anybody that works with me knows I'm very, very big on taking credit for how much money we save. We're really big on this. We will actually almost make it a joke. It's like, hey, we'll find an opportunity and it'll be worth, $500,000. And we'll right away start to talk about, hey, look, this is the value that we bring to you. We have found this $500,000 opportunity that we're going to work together now to address. But we're constantly quantifying the work that we do to the people that we report to. Every time I'm going to a meeting with a CEO, I have a dollar figure that I'm talking to them about. Hey, we found this $68,000 inefficiency. We found this $13,000 place where we were overbilled by a client. Or by a vendor. We're always, always, always focusing on quantitative. So that's the first thing I would tell you to do. Get super focused. You do not hire consultants to be generalists. You hire consultants to be specialists. I hire consultants every single month online, and I'll talk a little bit about where I find them because I think there's an opportunity for you. But I'm always looking for specialty. I want somebody that understands how to use Microsoft Project in an enterprise situation where we're in construction. Well, that's a very specific thing. And I'm willing to pay a couple $100 an hour to find that person and spend an hour with them. So that's the first thing I would tell you to do. The second, I think, is tied to that. Highest and best use of your time. You have to drill this into your head. I'm only going to do the things that are the highest and best use of my time. Can I do invoicing in QuickBooks? Absolutely, I can. Should I? Never. Absolutely never. I get it when you first start out, you got to sort of set things up. Get a bookkeeping firm. It's like $600 a month to have somebody run your books for you. Why in the world would you do it? And it's going to take you 10 hours to do it when it's going to take them 2 hours to do it. So put a value on your time. I'm really big at valuing time. I am all about this idea of trying to figure out what the value is of time. So if I want to be billing, let's say $250 an hour, of course, my board's going to act up on me. If I want to be billing $250 an hour and I can hire somebody to do an hour's worth of work for me for $20, well, then I'm really $230 in the positive. I have $230 more capacity to work off of if I hire that person to help me. If that person's $125 an hour, well, same thing holds true. So I'm always looking at when I'm trying to figure out what I want on a rate. Again, highest and best use. I'm always trying to do the things that are the most valuable. But this comes to another piece of setting your price. The mistake I think so many consultants make, and this is something that I please encourage you, do not fall into this rut, is undercharging. So what do I mean by that? If you're working on hourly, I don't work on hourly rates anymore. I work on project basis, and I work on the value that we returned, and we guarantee our fee. Yeah, if I do a small engagement, an engagement over a couple of months, we actually guarantee 50% of our fee that we'll return if we can't find 3 times the value that we charge. That's just the way that we work, and it works out really well for us. But most people will do this. They'll say, well, I want to make $100,000 a year, so then they split that out into 52 months, and they're like, okay, $4K a week, we'll buy 40 hours, so I need to charge, $100 an hour. That's not the way to do it. Let me tell you, you're not going to book 40 hours a week. You're absolutely not going to book 40 hours a week. You might work 40 hours a week, but you're not going to find 40 hours of billable time for your clients every week. So what you have to do is work off of 12. This is the way that the mistake that I made and why I worked my tail off for so many years is I actually now think about how much money do I want to make? And then I figure it out by a 12-hour week. And I say, okay, if I want to make, $20,000 a month, then I have to divide that by 48, 12 hours times 4. That's how I'm figuring out what I need to make. And then I use that same equation to figure this out. Now, I might have to do the QuickBooks and that kind of stuff at first when I first get started because I don't have a lot of cash reserves. But as I grow bigger, as I get beyond that 12 hours a week, when I book 14 hours a week, Now I'm taking those dollars and I'm putting them over and I'm figuring out how to get a bookkeeper and how to get a social media person and how to do all of these kind of things so that I can keep capacity so that when a customer calls and has an engagement for me, boom, I can move really, really quickly and engage with them. So we've talked about a couple things up to this point. We're going to talk about one more. First, focus on what you are an expert at. Second, highest and best use of your time. Try to do absolutely nothing that can be done for less by somebody else. And the last piece is set your price, right? Work off of a 12-hour work week. Understand that there's going to be lots of back of the house things. There's going to be business development. There's going to be social media. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to demand your time in that first 6 to 12 months. So you have to figure out, working on a 12 billable hours a week, can you cover your costs for your business? And then you need to look at, once you hit that and once you're okay, don't start taking extra money out of the business, but start devoting it back into trying to get you time back so that you have more and more flexibility and ability to work with more and more clients. You also might just start to make a lifestyle business. That's what I do now in my consulting firm. I've been really pressed over the last couple of years of saying, do I want to continue to grow this thing up, or am I just content? Am I content working, maybe 25 hours a week? And when I say working 25 hours a week, this is the problem with consulting, is it's very difficult to bill by the hour. So I usually don't suggest that you try to do it. It's hard when you're first starting out because that's what people feel like that they're, they want to be able to work with, but you want to work away from that eventually. And the reason is because, it is value. It's about value. It's not about hours. It's about providing value to your customers. And it's really about, finding the best solution for them. And sometimes I will tell you, I work more in the shower. I work more laying in bed at night when I'm out at a dinner with somebody. I'm constantly thinking about my customers and I'm trying to put pieces together throughout the day. I was at dinner last night. I went to an improv class last night, which was pretty cool. First time I've ever done that. And then afterwards, I went out for beers with a few of the folks. There were 2 or 3 things that when I was out at beers, I literally wrote down. It took me 10 seconds to write it down, but they would say something and I would be like, bam, that's a solution for one of my customers. I'd hurry up and jot it down. I got home. I started working through the notes. So I'm like, this is 11 o'clock at night and I'm out. I've had 2 beers and I'm still thinking about my clients and I'm still working for them. I couldn't charge them for that. What would I do? Say, 8 minutes here, 4 minutes there? No, I just try to work off value based. But again, it does take some time to get there. Finally, where do you start? Everybody thinks that you got to go out and knock on doors and network and do all this kind of stuff. This is not the world we live in today. The world that we live in today is virtual. It's online. It's international. It's everywhere all the time. Fiverr, Upwork, these are the places where I hire consultants. I think I was looking the other day, I've hired 166 projects on Fiverr in the last couple of years. I have a consultant on Upwork right now. I have 5 different consultants that I work with through Fiverr. And these are for really little things. Sometimes it's like, I need to optimize a YouTube channel. Is there somebody out there that knows what they're doing? I'll go onto a place like Fiverr and find some kid who has 20 million views in the last 2 months. And I'll pay him $250 and he'll jump on my account with me. We'll get on Zoom. I'll share my screen. He'll be like, oh, bro, you're screwing this up. Move this over here, do this, change this. And I'm just recording it, writing everything down. And then afterwards, I take all that information, that $250 that I paid that guy. Now I can get $25,000, $50,000, $100,000 worth of information that I can go out and disseminate to my clients. So these are really the 4 things that I want you to think about. And I'm going to repeat them once more because I believe it's really important. If you're at this junction, first, focus on what you're great at. Next, make sure you're thinking about the highest and best use of your time. I don't cut my own grass. I pay somebody to cut my own grass. Could I? Of course I could. But they're professionals. They're going to do it faster. I value my time more than what I pay them. So that's why I use them. Finally, set your price and work off of a 12-hour week. Understand that not all your hours are going to be billable. You're going to work 60 hours a week for a while, and you're going to look back and be like, I only billed 12 hours to my customers. That's one thing to think about with price. The other thing with price is this, and this sort of plays into the Fiverr thing. So set up an account on Fiverr, set up an account on Upwork, talk specifically about what you do. You can have 3 different profiles. I can help you interview better for your job. I can show you how to use Microsoft Project. I can show you how to set up your first customers in Salesforce. Whatever those things are that you're good at, put those things out there, but put them at a really low price to start. I don't know, maybe $50 an hour, $30 an hour, $20 an hour, whatever that is. Do that. Get 4 or 5 customers, then raise your price, right? Get 4 or 5 reviews, raise your price. Get 4 or 5 more reviews, raise your price. 4 or 5 more reviews, raise your price. Keep raising your price until you reach a point where people aren't booking you and then back your price back down. So just work it like an elevator. And then when you hit the peak where you're like, okay, $250 an hour for this service is the maximum that people will pay, then you start moving down. Now you're 225, now you're 200. Find that perfect value and test it repeatedly over and over and over. Every couple months, just be like, let me try to add another $5 to it. Does that help? Doesn't it help? These are just the things that you have to do in consulting. Way too many people stick with their price for way too long. They've been $50 an hour 10 years ago, and they're $50 an hour today. And trust me, $50 is not $50 anymore. So these are the things that I'm hoping that I can help you with. I'm going to keep doing some of these just because this isn't my usual content, but I'm going to do a few more of them just because I think there's a lot of folks right now in my network that are out there looking and saying, what's next for me? And consulting is a great choice. And if you do become a consultant, reach out to me. Let me know what your expertise is because I'm hiring. Until next time.